Surprise!
Surprise! Yay! It's our faces.
This is obviously not the logo of the podcast. This is the only logo I have on me. So here we are.
It's so beautiful. Look at the bunny. I love the bunny.
You do?
I do love the bunny. Except for that he's about to eat it. Nom, nom, nom.
Or they're about to be friends. We don't know.
Maybe they're going to cuddle.
Sorry. I'm texting.
Episode 16.
I got rid of all my bunnies.
Our podcast can officially drive.
You can drive when you're 15. You
That's
just can't
true.
do it without somebody there to help you. Anyway, I got rid of all my bunnies.
I know you did. Especially that fluffy cute one.
Yeah. This is maybe like a random aside already. It only took 20 seconds to do it. But I had a hard time selling bunnies here. Hard time.
Really?
So...
Did you sell like a hutch with it or just...
No, I was selling
itself?
feeder bunnies. Murdered in a bag.
Oh.
Ready to be fed to a large snake.
You had a hard time selling them the whole time you lived here though.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Well, I've only had them for 6 months or something.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought
Yeah, no. I just...
But you have a bunny on your logo.
My last name's Hare. Hippity hop.
So this is fake news right here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Or you could be feeding, I guess, not necessarily growing.
Right. I had them starting last spring. And
Okay.
so I guess I've been trying to sell them for about 8 months or something.
And it just...
No,
No
I've
go.
sold a couple to a couple people, but not consistently. And I got death threats on Craigslist.
What?
Yeah, I posted on my Instagram if you want to look at it, everybody. It's fun.
Okay. See, now you're going to see that I actually, like, play on my phone through the whole podcast.
No, but I guess my point is then I've had conversations with people on the Discord about that they're looking for rabbits in their area.
That's the testing Discord, not the podcast Discord, in case anybody's confused.
It's the same thing to me.
It's the same thing. But you can't, like, search for it. Never mind. Go ahead. Keep
Right, you can't search for a Discord anyway. You always need an invite. So if anybody's interested in the podcast, to me, they're the same thing at this point. We could make another one day, but
We
it
don't
feels
need to make
like
one
you don't
right
like
now.
it anyway.
I hate Discord. I'm so sorry. It's
So-
not personal to anybody who loves it. It's just not the format for me.
Here, put your phone down here, because you can hear it reverberate into the microphone.
Sorry.
It's all right. That's why I put this here.
This is my first time recording at Hare Hall
Castle
Farm.
Hare.
So this is interesting. And then she's leaving me, so might be
Who's
the
all
only,
for naught?
Might be the only in-person episode, but if we can figure it out, she does everything. I just show up. But if we can figure it out, we're hoping to do video in the future, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was doing sort of the background work. It's very easy to do 2 Discord screens and have that be what's recorded.
Right, yeah. That's what the format will be in the
Right,
future.
right.
It won't be this because she's leaving.
Forever.
That's
I
all
still
right.
don't have like real dates and stuff. Because fuck me, right?
But she's preparing to go.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get one more in. Maybe I'll actually grow a pair and we'll do it live.
Maybe.
That's going to be funny. We're not going to make eye contact with the camera.
Right,
like,
we're making eye
ever.
contact with the screen.
Yeah.
Weirdly. But not...
Or with each other.
It doesn't matter.
It's weird.
It's fine.
Anyway,
Yeah,
it's going to be awkward. Enjoy. Oh, yeah. So today we are talking about shipping first. Because
Shipping
we have,
first. Failed.
Failed. What, twice now?
Mm-hmm.
Twice. So this is take 3 of talking about shipping that we've been promising for weeks.
So, you received stuff this week?
Yes, I have 3 snakes coming in this week.
I sent out this week. I sent out last week.
Oh, you did?
And
How'd it
I'm
go?
sending out next week. Fine. They kept the insurance up
They
the
got
whole
insurance and no indie.
No,
Yes.
I only get sent to Indy if it's going to the Northeast. So we get routed through Memphis
Okay.
if the destination is almost anywhere else but the Northeast. Or from Northeast.
Because some of my stuff's coming from New York, and so I'm hoping it goes through Memphis because of temperatures.
Well, we'll get into like the trajectory of a
My
box.
stuff always goes through
You're just lucky somehow. Well, there was a time where they were rerouting stuff that should have gone to Memphis to Indy also. Like it would have normally been.
Madhouse crazy.
Right. So that might have been part of it also. But Indy is supposed to be the overflow one and or just the northeast one. But you can tell by the code on the label. She's getting wasted, but ladies and gentlemen.
Did you spike my Diet Coke? Things are going to get crazy.
Where do you buy your shipping supplies? You personally.
Me personally, I have bought shipping supplies from Reptiles to You and Reptile Basics. But hearing you talk about Ship Your Reptiles and how much better of a website it is and how they have like insurance, and I didn't know any of that when I started shipping. We're going to get into all that, but that's where I get my shipping supplies.
Right. You don't actually have to buy from Ship Your Reptiles to use...
That
you don't have to buy their supplies to
yes.
use their service or whatever.
You can use any service with anybody's box.
Yes, and the same is true for like 40-hour heat packs. Are the same, no matter who you're buying them from.
Buy them from somebody reputable,
Phase 22.
It doesn't matter which
Right.
company.
You can buy them from Amazon, technically.
So I usually just look at who's cheaper at the time, because I feel like the prices fluctuate.
Yes, they do. And sometimes you'll get bad batches of heat packs, so you'll want to watch the lot numbers that we know are bad, which is hard to tell. But usually the good companies will pull them from their inventory. Yeah. Amazon might not. There was a rash of bad 40-hour heat packs last year.
I remember that.
They weren't turning on, but we'll talk about how you turn on a heat pack here in a second. So you have to buy supplies. What you need is a box that is insulated with minimum 1/2-inch styrofoam.
Some people make their own.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Yep.
It is cheaper, but it's not a lot cheaper. They've figured out how to make it pretty economical to buy a box.
It's pretty reasonable if you buy more than one. If you're just buying one, it's going to break you. But if you buy like a case, you're fine. I think that Stone Age Ball Pythons has a video on their YouTube about cutting styrofoam from Lowe's or Home Depot and doing your own packaging, if anyone wants to go that route. But I just buy it pre-done. Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff to do in life, and that's not one of them. I really need to do.
I'm not putting my time into that, but if you want to, there are videos out there that can show you how. Right, you could buy the boxes to your spec from Uline relatively cheap, the cardboard box itself. Yeah. But also, I buy them. You watch the lot numbers on the heat packs and stuff, but also watch the expiration dates. A lot of people ignore expiration dates on things. That's not one that you want to ignore. If they're expired, throw them out. Maybe. Oh, I've heard that. I usually just test them. If they fire up. Okay. In general, and this is maybe personal weirdness. If a heat pack fails at hour 20, does it matter? It should already be there. So it's only if it fails in the additional rare circumstance of it failing when it's laid over somewhere. Right. And even then, almost all like laid over times are in a hub, Memphis or Indy, inside. So they're in 60 degrees. So it would take a lot to kill a snake. Right. Well, if you think about it, we look at our temperatures outside when we ship snakes to be extra cautious, but they should be going from 60-degree buildings to 60-degree cars to 60-degree. And when they're on the airplane, it gets cold up in there. Right. I asked Krista about it. I was like, her husband's in the Air Force, if you have not caught that in the previous 15 episodes. If you haven't, airlocked the cargo bay of an airplane, it can get as cold as 40 or so, but it's usually still 60 because it's just, it absorbed the air of wherever it was from, and they closed it, and the whole thing's kind of hot anyway, so that's... The engines, keep it warm? Well, no, but, there's just, ambient machinery everywhere. Interesting. So it's not... it should be pretty temperature controlled. Right. It's just for the extreme circumstances you want to be
doing the recommended heat or cool packs because of.
So you don't have to listen to us for any of this, because you can go to Ship Your Reptiles or Reptile Basics or Reptiles to You, and they have like detailed, very specific what they think you should do, and it's basically what we're going to tell you. So it's not, we're not breaking any new molds here.
This is not new news. This is not a secret recipe.
No, it's all what's everyone decided to do 5 years ago or whatever. Because in the before time, most boxes weren't insulated at all.
Oh, really?
Mm-mm. I didn't get an insulated box. If you got an insulated box, that was sweet. You're like, that guy knows what they're doing. For my last collection time,
okay,
very rarely would you get an insulated box. It would be like padded with newspaper or something, but not insulated ever.
See, and in my young patronage, I've only ever gotten.
Right, it's the gold standard now, so it is the standard.
Right.
I would be pissed if someone sent me a non-insulated snake box.
Oh my gosh, I would blast them on social media.
Right. So,
no way.
But they did okay getting shipped that way before, because being cold sort of doesn't matter that much to most species.
Right.
Not all species.
Cold to a point.
Right. So as long as they're not in freezing, they can recover. Like the guy, what's his name? Who puts all his ball pythons through 3 days of 40 degrees or whatever.
Oh yeah, he unplugs everything in the winter because he had like a power outage.
And he's like, that made my
numbers go up.
It may or may not be what's responsible, but like they can definitely tolerate being very cold. All of Billy's snakes that were half frozen have persisted and look fine.
Yeah, and they're breeding this year.
I'm not saying freeze your snakes.
Don't freeze your snakes.
But I'm saying don't be as scared about cold weather shipping, because to me this is the best time of year to ship.
Cold weather is safer than hot weather.
Right, because you can't crawl, like pull a brain back from being under heat stress. Right, because the proteins will denature and they can never come back together. It's like literally being cooked. We can't fix that in a snake.
Right. But a cooled snake
could be just fine.
Back up.
Right. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, fuck yeah, it's winter shipping. Woo! Woo! Because this time of year I can ship almost universally with a heat pack to wherever, and it's okay. But in the spring, if I'm trying to ship to Texas, I need a heat pack for my side, but not for their side.
That's where it gets weird.
And then you're like, well, we don't want to kill it. So invariably, Ship Your Reptiles will be like, don't put a heat pack in, put a phase 22, and
I need to get some of those. Have you used them?
Yeah, they're my favorite thing I've ever bought.
They're more expensive, but
extremely
they're worth it.
Expensive. Yeah, extremely expensive.
And that's when you would want that. It's the dual zones.
So phase 22 is a fluid made by science that has been designed to have a melting point of 72 degrees.
Okay.
That's room ass temperature. This is really good. So that means it'll retain heat and let it go slowly, but only to it wants to moderate the temperature to 72 degrees.
It's like a heat pump in a little cryo pack.
Right, but it doesn't produce any of its own heat.
Right.
It just is like a heat sink or a heat sort of holder that can let it go. But it's such a nice snake temperature for all kinds of animals. Right. Crested geckos. It was designed for botany stuff, like cut flowers.
So if you're shipping cut flowers or just to grow cut flowers?
Or just living plants. If you want to just keep them sort of in between and not tropical plants wildly different temperatures. That's what I think it was mostly designed for. But it does awesome in snakes. Because this is something you could add to a heat pack situation if you want to give some sort of smooth out the trajectory of their temperatures, because
you've put in both at the same time.
Yeah, and I do that now for sure. It just smooths it out. So the hot side will be extremely hot. The snake will be on the other side with the phase 22. So if they stay inside for too long and the hot pack is overworking, it'll absorb some of the heat instead of the snake getting it.
Okay.
And then it'll give it back to the snake if the hot pack fails or whatever. It's like a thermal inertia device. But set to 72, not super hot or super cold, just like a normal room temperature, which most snakes will tolerate. The things that are weird are like super sensitive crested geckos, amphibians that cannot get over whatever 80 degrees. They would definitely benefit from lots of phase 22 usage and much less heat pack usage.
Okay.
Do
you do a lot of shipping? Is the majority of your sales shipping? Okay.
I filed my taxes last night.
My husband did ours too.
Good job.
Didn't look at it, but good job, husband.
And I sold more snakes outside the state than inside the state.
That's awesome.
So
that's what I hope to do this season, because I'm going to be doing more high end rather than show quality. So
yeah, shipping does like sketch you out the first 5 times. You're like, fuck.
Oh, I've shipped a lot. I've shipped probably 25 times.
Yeah. And the first 5 times you're like, this is terrible.
The first 5 times you literally like throw up all night because you're so worried that it's going to just keel over and you've done something wrong.
But the process is pretty good, is what I'm saying.
It's set up. The instructions are good. You can find information. It's very
pretty safe.
Procedural. It's very safe. Like nothing.
FedEx does suck balls.
Yes,
but they're doing pretty good. Like
I
all
heard
things considered.
This year yet, other than the weather was crappy, so people weren't shipping. But
there's a lot of pilot shortages due to COVID stuff. Like, Deli didn't have enough pilots to run the airplanes. So there's like
the whole country is like that.
Right, it's fine.
Everybody's getting COVID right now.
I think, but they're doing fine.
They're doing fine. No big dramas, and I hopefully will get all my snakes this Wednesday without a hitch.
So, Ship Reptiles has had insurance the entire pandemic, which Jana alluded to this earlier, and none of the other providers did.
Yeah, and I didn't know that they were offering it. I thought that no providers were offering it.
Right. I had a lot of people who were trying to buy something from me, but like, nobody has insurance. I'm like, nobody that you check has insurance. So I've been only using Ship Reptiles only Tuesday, Wednesday to Hub, which was their requirements for insurance this whole time, and it's been just fine.
And I think that you should be shipping Hub to Hub in the pandemic. That's what
I think we should all be doing it always.
Always. That's my standard. I won't.
I know there's some people who vehemently disagree with that. Like, I want to ship to my house no matter what.
I won't sell to them. Maybe it'll matter when I have higher valued snakes, but I only ship Hub to Hub unless it's an extenuating circumstance. Like, the only time that I have not shipped to a Hub, they owned a pet store and they had like a legitimate storefront, and they were like, we receive all our packages there
by 10 a.m.
Yeah, and they have like a reliable FedEx.
Yeah,
person
that's the other thing.
If
you're like,
they can show me that they were legitimate.
The ship here would be delivery by 5 p.m. Like, there's no guarantee. It's not noon.
The FedEx guy, like,
it's not 10.
Could care less that there's a live animal in that box. And I've had him, like, I have a really steep driveway. I've had him, like, chuck it down the driveway.
Yeah,
and
they're busy.
Like, they just, like, dove.
They're busy.
They're so busy and they're so overworked. Probably everywhere, but in our area especially. And some of them aren't even FedEx drivers. They're, like, contract drivers in their, like, minivan.
Or a Penske.
Yeah, and so they literally, like, I don't even think they look at the package and read that it says live animal on it. So it's just, I do Hub to Hub only, and I think that should be the new standard, and that people
I feel like it has been.
It has been, I feel like, the last, like, 3 months.
I feel like it has been this whole
time?
Since pandemic.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
For me, last season for sure, but I didn't have any babies the season before, but I was buying a lot, and it was not, people would ship it to my house.
Right, well...
No one said, oh, it has to go to a Hub until 2021. Not a single person was like,
You were buying snakes in 2020?
2020.
Okay, yeah.
And nobody said, what's your Hub? I didn't even know where my local Hub was.
What? All right, yeah, well, I have always asked for Hub since 2019, because there's no reason a snake should be bounced around on a truck an extra 8 hours when you could go get it.
Yeah,
So.
I agree.
Although, like, I've had people be like, you need to go pick up from the Hub 1 hour after it's available. And I'm like, fuck you.
No, I don't do
It's
that.
fine.
It's fine at the Hub.
I know, it's 65 degrees. What is it going to do?
Yeah,
I don't give a shit. You can go, it's fine there.
I mean,
it's just better than the back of a truck.
Hey, your snake is waiting for you, but not like...
Oh, yeah, it's fine to remind them that it's available.
Prompted me, like, your snake is available. But it's usually like, because it's like 3 days late and they're like, just so you know, I just got updated. It's there.
Yeah.
Hurry, go get it, because it's been in a box for 3 days.
Poor snakes. And usually what happens to snakes isn't that there's anything particularly wrong with them from being in a box for 3 days. They're just thirsty. So just bring them in, warm them up kind of slow, give them some water, let them take a break for a week, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, mine, they're usually cold, and so they have to, even though they've been in a box for 3 or 4 days, you have to leave them on the counter or in the room before they can come out to warm up, before you can put them in a...
Right. They just need to warm up pretty slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes, like, I mean, it's a long drive for me, so it's like 30 minutes in, like, a room, temperature controlled. Your mileage may vary, but I just think people are really stressed out about shipping, and you don't have to be, is what I'm saying. Because the process is pretty good.
Who is going to ship me a snake this week because she's putting her hatchlings up for sale, and she's never shipped. And so she's, like, super nervous. And I totally understand that. It's totally normal to feel that way. And, like Jessica said earlier, once you get about 5 under your belt, then you feel more confident. But it's okay. Follow the directions. It's going to go fine. The horror stories that you hear are rare. Have you experienced...
A death?
A death in shipping? Neither have I. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It's not like the survivorship mentality. It's never going to happen to me.
Yeah, it will happen eventually to us.
It will happen.
Just don't spend the money of the snake that they bought from you.
Right.
But until you get a happy customer.
Right. Always, that should be your policy.
Yeah.
But 99% of the time, it's going to be totally fine. And there are rare instances where it's not. And you don't... Worrying about it or being anxious about it does not... I just totally hit the mic. Sorry.
That's all right.
Doesn't... make it safer. It's just
no.
It's a numbers, like a numbers thing. Like, there, no matter what you're shipping, some time of shipping is going to go wrong.
Unfortunately, there's a certain amount of boxes that are just like crushed and lost. You know, like lost.
They're just gone.
Right. Probably somebody literally backed their truck up over it. So that can happen too. Unfortunately, that is extremely rare though.
I don't think we're being very reassuring.
Nope.
Maybe we should get to the reassuring part. It's gonna be fine. So you have your choice of cryo... What was that thing called? The really scientific-y thing?
Phase 22.
Phase 22 or heat pack. You have your 2-inch insulated box.
Let's go through the steps of shipping.
Okay.
So we've bought a box. Now we're going to assemble it. The box, in my opinion, and this is apparently up for debate, should be substantially bigger than the snake that is within it. I've been shipped snakes that are like full up in that box. Like there's no additional space around the insulation. There's just snake and then insulation. And then cardboard. Like the snake completely fills in the entire interior space.
And that's bad?
Yeah.
I've totally done that.
Here's why it's bad.
If it's temperate temperatures, if you don't have a cryo or...
Yeah, of course then. But also, like, I'm worried about, like, doubling the insulative power of what's going on. So the snake is in the center of whatever your insulating part is. In the middle of this, there are multiple air pockets that are, like, protecting the snake from outside temperatures.
Well, I don't mean, like, I've, like, coiled the snake and shoved it down in and it was, like...
I've gotten snakes where the snake fills the entire box.
Okay.
The entire box.
I mean, like, I literally, like, there's still, like, paper around it and stuff, but it's, like, it's a...
75% of the box is snake?
Yeah.
I really think it should be more, like,
50%
or less.
Okay. Interesting.
I've been sent lots of snakes that filled the entire box. And that's why that's why it's up for debate.
I put a 1,800 gram snake, and they wanted it right away, and I had bigger boxes on order. And normally I'd put that in like a 12 by 12 by 12 or 10 by 10 by 10. And I had like a 12 by 6.
12 by 9 by 6?
Yeah. And that's the one I'm thinking of. And I'm like, yeah, it fits. But if you wait a week, I can put it in a 12 by 12 by 12.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, ship it anyway. And so that's the most crammed I've ever put.
Yeah, that stuff makes me uncomfortable.
Okay.
Also because, like, if the sides of the box are going to be crushed, which is usually how a box is damaged, if the snake is basically touching all the sides, there's no way for the snake to, like, be pushed away from the side that's being crushed. So the snake will invariably get injured. A lot of times when it's, like, little corn snakes or whatever that have died that I've seen, it'll be like an edge that's been crushed, like, under a door or something. And the snake was too close to the crushed side.
Okay.
It's not all the time.
So what size do you ship hatchlings in?
12 by 9 by 6 every time.
What?
Doesn't matter how expensive it is. Players don't play.
Wow, I put them in 9 by 9s. If there's no heat pack or cryo or anything needed.
It's okay to do that. A 9 by 9 by 9.
If there's no
in the
only
spring,
right? That's only if
like
you're
just like the
not
right
putting,
time, and you do save money for sure
yes.
on shipping.
But if you have any kind of augmentation, ice, heat, you cannot. That is not safe. Do not put one in a 9 by 9.
Right. 12 by 9 by
That's not
6
what
is
I'm
the
saying.
minimum size anyone recommends for an additional temperature control feature.
Yeah.
So you can have like half of it be temp. Because if the snake lays on the heat pack for any reason, it'll kill the snake. So the heat pack's 140 degrees or whatever. So if they're touching, it'll overheat the snake. So they need to be far away.
That, and that's terrible. You don't want to experience that.
But still near enough to have a temperature difference. So that's why the 12 by 9 by 6 is like, to me, it should be the default box unless something else is going on.
Okay.
For a ball python or boa sized baby. Corn snakes, little colubrids are different. They're so small, you could almost, I don't recommend it. You can almost still have a heat pack, but have the snake be still 6 inches away from it in like a square shaped one. Because the snake is like nothing. Little dreamscape of little snake dreams.
Little teeny tiny.
It's a little quarter of a snake in a deli that's like 4 inches away from it. You could argue that. I don't know.
I wonder if that's what happened to my garter snakes.
Did they get put in a heat pack in a 9 by 9 by 9?
I think it was the smaller one.
So there's 7 by 7 by 7, 8 by 8 by 8, 9 by 9 by 9, and 10 by 10 by 10 commercially available.
They were not the 10s, and I don't think it was the 9s. It was an 8 or 7, and it had 2 in deli cups stacked.
And the top one was right next to it.
And that one died right away, and then the other one died within a week. And they were stuck for 3 days. But they were like, he put them in like wet moss, but by the time I got them, the moss was like, especially on the top one, was like
really
bone dry, which I think it got superheated, and it just never looked right. I wonder if that's what happened, because there was not a 6-inch gap. It was like a layer of newspaper between it and the
Yeah, I think
deli.
might have done it. That would have done it to me. Okay. I would have interpreted that as
interesting.
A lethal move.
It didn't even, until we were talking about it just now, it didn't even occur to me.
So to me, the temperate colubrids rarely need a heat pack. Even I will do it this year, but to me it's for show. It's a security theater type thing where I'm just pretending that they need it. Okay. So the customer feel good.
Feels better.
They don't need it. They live in the outside. If they have empty stomachs, they're fine. We could just ship them. They'll be fine. Yeah. They're never going to experience freezing temperatures on that whole journey.
I agree.
So there's really no reason to.
Interesting if somebody sent like a Govee or something in one of those boxes.
Oh, we should do that so hard.
I'm
moving to Oklahoma anyway.
I'm totally doing that. I'm totally, we can just like check what the temperature experience is for a box.
Yeah, and I think we'll find it's
pretty
little mostly temperate, but quite cool.
Yeah.
Even with a heat pack, maybe. I don't know.
So like, fascinating.
It just doesn't. The snakes, they're fine. They're fine. And colubrids are super fine. They don't temper colubrids. Tropical colubrids, different story. Temper colubrids, they don't. That's what they do anyway. I temp gun them sometimes in the house when the ambient is kind of cool in the house. And they have a hot spot. They don't give a shit. They'll still be 60 degrees. I'm like, what are you doing? Just go over there. I don't want to. Okay, fine. You're an adult. You're an adult snake. You can choose what you want to do with your free time.
Well, yeah, your one that's in shed was hanging out at the very front.
Yeah. They know they don't want to be that hot most of the time unless they need to be hot for a reason. So they'll choose to be quite cold. Especially boas. Like imperator boas. You'd be surprised how much they tolerate coldness.
My kings hate their hot spot. I almost feel like unplugging it. They're in 78 degrees and they never are in the... They have C70s and they are never... It's on 83, 84, I think. And they are never back there, ever.
Right. They probably do use it, though, like, when they just ate,
okay.
you know, or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
no, I'm, like,
so unless you want to run ambience of 82...
They have it.
Right.
They have it. And they're at 78, but they are... Whenever I check on them, they're always like... Maybe they're also like, I'm going to eat your face.
Right.
So they're always... Literally, I come in the room and they're like, is it feeding time? Every day.
Yeah, woman. Where's my food?
Where's my food? Where's my quail, bitch? Okay.
All right. So in general, 12 by 9 by 6 for baby boas or baby ball pythons, because that allows you to use it for heat in the winter if you buy a box of 10 or 15 or whatever comes in the box.
Good enough.
If you want to use a smaller one this summer, you can, I guess. Maybe 8 by 8, 9 by 9, not the tiniest one.
The 9 by 9. Yeah, I
Those
wouldn't go
would be
smaller
better.
than that with a ball python.
Little colubrids. I'm not that mad if I get a little colubrid in a 7 by 7 by 7 if it has a deli inside of it, because the deli is, you know, an extra level of crush protection.
Right. With no augmentation.
With no augmentation. And then when you're getting ready to ship, obviously you first coordinate with your buyer and be like, what days can you receive? And then you go from there. But you're using a cold pack almost never for snake. Just saying. Use them for amphibians more. Ship Your Reptiles recommends no cold packs ever for reptiles. Even if the receiving temperature is at the sort of border.
Interesting. I feel like I've used cold packs more than I've used hot packs. But it's
weird.
like the 2 by 2. You just chuck it in a corner.
It's just one of those things like they're going in the airplane. The airplane is always 40 to 60 degrees. And you're putting in a cold pack.
But people want that
see.
cold pack.
Right. So I'm just like, we shouldn't be doing cold packs at all. Probably just phase 22s. Because that is the version of a cold pack that is less cold and less hot.
Sell them
less than $7.
More affordably, because I feel like that's a cost that you eat as a that I eat, not the customer eats. Like.
The other thing about phase 22s, Best Dressed Balls did an interview where he talked about a phase 22 breaking open in the shipping container.
Whoa!
And it burned the snakes chemically, like caused chemical burns. Okay. So I double bag phase 22s in like Ziploc bags.
Double bag that stuff.
Well, just in case like the first bag fails, I have a second bag.
What kind of bag do you bag
just
in?
Sandwich bags, which, you know, obviously have failure problems anyway. But that way, like...
Because the heat packs you wrap in a brown paper bag.
I do not do that.
You do not do that? Oh,
no.
Okay.
So the heat pack instructions say not to cover the red strip.
But they also say wrap it in something.
Right, when you're warming it up to begin with. Whoa!
Don't buy a snake for me. I don't know.
So here's what I do: is I open the heat pack. It's starting to get exposed to oxygen. I crack it up just to get the oxygen exposed to all the pieces. I wrap it in a something for like 2 hours while waiting for it to come to temperature, because it needs to hit like a critical temperature to like have a sustained chemical reaction. This is the morning I'm shipping, right? And then I unwrap it, and then I tape it to the top of the styrofoam on the opposite side of the snake. Will be with the red strip exposed.
Interesting. I'm doing it wrong, people.
I think
because I thought that you were supposed to put it in a wrapped in paper. And then
definitely ask you not to do that. So I'm not.
Definitely don't do.
I know
what she's doing.
people wrap cold packs because they're like very cold and there's no way to like moderate how cold it is or whatever. So they'll like insulate the cold pack to keep the cold pack colder longer. And then it's like drippy and there's condensation, so they'll wrap it in paper towels.
Whoa, people!
I didn't know this was a thing.
Apparently,
I think your heat packs still work, but they definitely say, like, that's why there's that red line on there. It's like, don't cover this line because that's the amount of O2 transfer it needs to function.
I'm going to read my pack and see what it says. We can argue about it later.
Okay. I'm going to have
But Jessica's most likely right.
I don't even think I think this is like what they tell in the Ship Reptiles, like, tutorial. Don't cover the red line. I'm sure your stuff still worked because it wasn't probably like
fine.
so tightly packed.
All snakes arrived alive, but I'm learning something new.
Yeah, the thing that like gives me a weird feeling is when people receive a snake that was sent correctly without a hot pack and then like it's cold and I'm disappointed. I'm like, ugh.
There was somebody who blasted. This was probably 6 months ago. Blasted on World of Ball Pythons. Look at how they shipped it to me. And it was like, their snake was in it, and it was like crinkled paper. I mean, it looked perfect. Perfect. And they were pissed that there was like recycled newspaper in it instead of the like pillow fluff or something. And everybody's like, that's how I pack my snake. That's how I pack my snake.
You like crumpled newspaper or like shredded newspaper?
No, it was like crumpled up.
Oh yeah, that's what I do now.
But it wasn't like
Polyfill.
It wasn't even like sometimes you get it and they put like 3 pieces in there and it's like there's nothing
Loose.
protecting. It wasn't even like that. It was like stuffed, like perfectly packed.
Well, what
and
did he want?
like,
a heat pack?
I like
Or,
I
like, what
wanted
was-
the pillow fluff and I wanted it. You know, like they just like opened it up and they were just like, oh, this is so crappy. I'm so mad. And everybody's like,
I've
literally,
used
there's nothing
polyfill
wrong.
and I like it fine, but
I
like it's
used
also
to.
plastic, so like fuck, how much trash do we have to throw away in this hobby? You know,
so
polyfill.
Right.
It's like
I
plastic.
used to use the polyfill, and then this may be totally redundant and not accurate, but in my brain, like, because you don't necessarily want to throw that polyfill into the dumpster and landfill, I feel like some people reuse that, and I don't feel like that's good for biosecurity. You don't want to take that packing material and send it with a different snake because it could have nido or crypto or whatever on it, and so people have no problem taking the shipping.
People
stuff
definitely
out.
do reuse polyfill,
And
though. You know,
no,
they
for
do.
sure. That's what
They
I'm saying.
know
That's
they
why I
do.
quit. That's why I've quit using because I used to do that, and that's bad. So I had a whole like trash bag that I would like as I was unpacking snakes. Put it.
Mm-hmm.
That's so bad. Don't do that. Please don't do that. That's not safe. But with crushed up paper and stuff, you just take it out and put it in your recycling bin, and nobody feels bad about that. So that's why I use newspaper rather than polyfill, because I worry that people will do something ignorant like I was doing. And maybe unknowingly spreading nido or whatever. So don't wrap your heat packs like Jana did. And I won't wrap mine this year either. The next step
is to put the snake in a secondary container. So if the snake is, you could use delis, you can use a bag. There are pros and cons to both.
What are your pros for using a deli with, say, a ball python, not a culprit?
It's more safe. So for crushing reasons, there's just another stronger thing than a bag. But to me, they pop off when pressed, even if you do rubber bands and tape.
Mm-hmm.
So it could escape more easily than a bag, to me. A bag with a zip tie.
So my thought process on that is that the delis, even if you put some kind of
PP absorbing material.
correct, they're loose in there, and so
They're
if
sliding around.
shook or whatever, they're getting banged around.
Yeah.
So if they're in a bag and they're packed in, they're not being jostled
Mushed around as much, yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean it's right. I don't think it's like, I'm not upset if I get a deli. I just, in my brain, I'm like, I feel
They're
like
definitely
safer.
sliding around. It's
Yeah.
like your brain in your head when you're in a car accident, where the first accident is your like face hitting, and the next
Yeah.
one is your head hitting inside your skull.
So I worry about that personally.
Yeah, people just need to learn to overpack loose bedding in their delis.
Like fill the deli up.
Yeah, so the snake is sort
Okay.
of restricted.
Because
If you're going to do that.
I have had boxes that were like the corner is crushed, and it just happened to be in a deli, and they were fine. It wasn't even popped open or anything.
Right.
Cause
Yeah, I don't
say
say it necessarily does pop open, but
But
the other thing is like
I can see how
bags.
that
If
would
they
be-
pee, they could sort of like suffocate themselves. Not really, but like because it's wet, it'll like
Stick
be
to
like
them,
sticking to their
yeah.
heads. And so like a deli, maybe it's not gonna get stuck to them because it's a piece of plastic. But that's why I like using paper. So if they pee, it just sort of travels it wicks into the paper.
Do you use the like carefree bedding or do you use like paper
I
towels?
do now.
Okay.
I've used both. I don't know what's better. Here's what I know. I don't like it when people send me shredded newspaper because it's really drying. There's lots of particulates.
Okay.
So there's a lot of dust.
And there's ink that gets on the snake too.
Yeah, I'm not in love with that as a shipping softener. I use like unprinted newspaper as my like positioning material.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make a little nest on one side. And to keep the snake in one position, I almost universally use bags for bigger snakes because I think I prefer it a little bit better.
But with little baby tiny snakes,
Yeah, they have to go to Deli.
Yeah, you
because
don't have it like
can't
a
keep
king
track
or
of them.
a corn. You have to put them in a deli.
And the rules with FedEx are they have to be like double secured. So they need to be tied and then zip tied or clipped down and then taped.
Okay.
To technically meet the standards. So that if one containment means fails, there's a backup. That's why people zip tie. I know it's irritating to like cut zip ties. But that's why they're doing it. Even though you're like, well, they could have just tied it. That would have been enough. Well, sometimes it's not enough.
I've had snakes escape into the box.
Yeah, me too. Usually it's like a flaw in the stitching, so they're coming out like the
side.
bottom.
Yeah. You want to poke holes in all four sides, one hole.
Right. I've seen people do 2 holes on one side and 2 holes on the other side, and I'm like, I guess that technically is the same.
I think I do that with the bigger boxes. I'll do one on each side of the long, so it's like ventilating this way. Is that not enough? You think?
I don't know. I'm not in charge. I know that the rules are 4 holes. And I don't think they care what it is. But I've definitely heard people say they don't use any holes. I've received snakes with no holes.
I've received a lot with no holes at all.
I think they're trying to like keep it more insulated, of course, when it's colder. But it's like, I don't really give a shit. Like the snake is not that cold. I'd rather have it breathe than be cold.
Breathing. Breathing is good. Because like we said, you can warm a snake up, but you can't... A suffocated snake is a dead snake, and an overheated snake is a dead snake. But a cool snake can be warmed up.
Mm-hmm. Even from terrible coldness. It would never even experience in a normal shipping procedure. It can still be recovered.
Right. Like left out on a tarmac.
Yeah, that's...
In Canada, in the
apparently
winter, it can survive that.
That was fucked. Like,
overnight. Mm-hmm. Freezing snow. Yep.
You need a heat pack when the daytime high on both sides is less than 70.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Both sides, though. So if one of them is 50 and the destination is 75, you can't use a heat pack.
I feel like if it's above 60, I obviously speak to the person I'm shipping to. Usually you're shipping to like other breeders.
I'm just giving Ship Your Reptiles exact rules.
Exact rules. Cool. I don't follow that. Follow it and ignore Jana.
Right. It's... So you don't use a heat pack if it's 60? If the daytime high is 60 on both sides?
Oh,
and
daytime high.
Daytime high,
oh,
not nighttime.
Never mind. Sorry. Ignore all that. You can cut all that out. I was thinking you were talking about
nighttime lows?
Yeah.
Oh, Ship Your Reptiles doesn't...
I do nothing if it's like, if the temperature is like 60 to 75, 78. Daytime to nighttime. I do nothing in the paddock with the snake other than...
I just follow Ship Your Reptiles. They're very clear about like...
I've never even been on their website.
If you don't do it the way we want you to do it, we're not refunding you. So like if they think that you're being... I don't know how they would know.
If you're being hokey.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. I mean, they are...
They've never like grilled me when I asked for... Well, I guess I've never had any snake die. So like that's why they haven't grilled me. Mm-hmm. But when I just...
They probably want pictures of how you shipped it and stuff. Yeah.
So...
Follow the directions if you want your insurance to work.
Yes. And if you're confused, you can always message any of the providers and they will give you more specific instructions. So if you're like, I'm 65, they're 55.
What do I do?
Yeah, you can just ask them. They'll tell you.
Yeah.
And then the floor for when to stop shipping is daytime highs less than 38 at the source and destination. So that means the nighttime lows could technically be really fucking cold. But it doesn't matter because remember, it's in an airplane most of the time.
What's the lowest you ship?
I don't care.
Nighttime? You don't care?
It's daytime highs that matter.
Okay. Because
obviously when it gets there, it's colder than its daytime high.
Right.
But I don't think it's a problem because it's in the back of a 60-degree truck.
The boy that I'm getting this week, he didn't want to ship unless the night times were above freezing on both ends.
I've heard people say that too, but that isn't the rules of Ship Your Reptiles. And I'm assuming they know what they're doing.
Ship Your Reptiles is the Bible. I've got it.
Well, it's the same rules for everywhere else too.
Jeez, I must just be like a hack. I feel like, how have I not had every snake die?
No, I remember how you could ship a snake with no insulation and no heat pack, and they're actually fine.
They're totally fine.
So you're fine. That's what I'm saying. Like, all of this is rules that are made up. For the most part, they're all fine. Just don't fry their brains.
Right. I haven't fried any brains.
Good job.
And I haven't froze any snakes. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think we could almost ship them all without heat packs. Down very cold, and it still wouldn't matter.
That's why I err on the side of don't put in a heat pack unless the customer wants one, and then you have the right size box and all this blah blah blah. Because to me, a heat pack is more dangerous than than the temperatures that it's going into, and so you have to be very aware of the situation when you're using a heat pack.
Yeah, it's more like theater about people's perception. Oh, it came out of the box warm. They're a good person or something. But you can't use one at 70 anyway, and they feel kind of cool to the touch at 70. They always
feel cool to the touch when you get them out of the box.
Right.
That's going to happen.
The Lacey Act info on the outside is usually pretty self-explanatory. You need to do the number, the species name, and the common name. Hopefully we can all do that successfully.
And some boxes don't have it, but you can print them off. They're online. Right.
If you buy it as like a part of a kit, it'll be printed on there already.
Ship Your Reptiles are Reptile Basics but Reptiles to
Express.
Reptiles to You, they are not on the box. They have a PDF you have to print and tape to the box, which is obnoxious. It is so dumb. Like, why can you not print that next to your freaking logo? Obviously, you're printing the boxes. Is this little box on here gonna... Really, people? Like, it really drives me up the wall.
Yeah, I buy most of my boxes from Reptile Basics, actually, because it's usually cheaper. Mm-hmm. But...
That's where I got my most recent. I was really happy with them.
I just buy, like, a trillion 12x9x6s for the most part. I think I have a little bit.
Well, you probably don't sell adult males. What do you ship adult males in?
15 by, what's the next size up? 15 by 9 by 7 or whatever the next size is.
That sounds right.
And then I do have littler ones. I think they're 8 by 8 by 8s for colubrids, and I have.
Is that what you ship your little worms in?
No, those are actually isopod. Cups that I was thinking about taking to the show, and I didn't because I didn't feel like it because it was a waste of time.
Oh my gosh, I need to water my isopods. It's probably been 2 weeks since before I had COVID.
How many will be left? My problem with the isopods is they experience colony collapse.
I think mine are doing that
at a rate that is confusing to me. So I'm like, am I supposed to like be removing them and seeding them because eventually like the fungal load or whatever in the soil? This is probably what I should be doing. Is like soil maintenance.
Right. You're supposed to switch out like half of it every 3 months or something.
It's too much work for me. The other thing that is pissing me off about the isopods is they are like a reservoir for the forward flies because you can't like make it not humid, full of fungus and whatever. Isopods need that.
I have everybody.
So like I could kill every forward fly and they would still be one or two somehow persisting in those colonies. And this has happened multiple times where I go through like cycles of bullshit. And that's why I was like, I feel you, girl, but if you have bioactive, you're in the biofuck department in terms of like forward fly problems.
Oh, what are they called?
Forward. PHOR.
Are those the little?
Right, they
they're
look
not the
like fruit
gnats,
flies,
or
but they're
they-
not. They're actually like a poop eater or like a decayed item eater.
Are those the ones that make the little like?
Maggots that are real tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Those are.
But they're not fruit flies because
There's like
they're
gnats,
different.
and then there's those, and those are. I would rather have gnats than those because they make like the little maggot pod thing.
Right.
See,
They're the
switched
curse of all people with snakes, but to me they've been
I've
much
never had them before until this.
worse until I had bioactive because they find a way to persist no matter how much you clean because you have a source where they can live indefinitely and get
Forever.
water
Right.
forever. That's why I'm like madder and madder bioactive through time.
Maybe
I know y'all think it's the best.
I've never had them. Maybe that's why I have them now. Is because I have the bioactive.
Right, I didn't have them either until I ran isopod colonies to potentially like sell them, and I'm like, they're getting in here and like
I was
staying
almost
no matter
gonna
how much
take
traps
pictures and
or
ask
like
you,
fly
like,
tape.
Do I need to like de-maggot my rats or something? Like what is it? Like
Yeah, they can
I've
obviously
never
live
had
on
'em-
rat stuff too, but it's not your rat's fault because you're probably
It's not, like,
cleaning
internal
everything good enough.
parasites or anything?
They're living in your bioactive stuff, and they're gonna keep living in there unless you throw the whole thing in the trash, which is the highest level bullshit that I can.
Like
imagine.
I've never had them before, and then when I went down with COVID, I'd seen them a little bit prior to that, like, but then I didn't clean anything all week, which never happens. So there was a lot of poop happening, and some
Right,
of
they
them-
they can like rise and fall, but now that they're in your room, they're never gonna go away unless you throw away the bioactive stuff too.
That's crazy. That sucks. I put
I mean,
everything on
people
paper
could
towels,
argue
and they're
about like
still...
getting predatory mites in there, and I'm like, no, they can live in anything moist. Literally, your toilet would be enough to keep them going because they just need a little water to persist so they find the next little thing.
They're so gross. They're so gross. I do not do bugs. Isopods. I love isopods. Obviously, they're the devil. But
I like isopods too, but knowing now that they're a reservoir and I can't beat forward flies with them around,
I didn't know that's what they were called. I was going to take a picture and ask you because they're nasty.
That's what we were talking about on with Zach Loafman, Dr. Zach Loafman on
Because
THP.
even the gnats, they're just like, they hatch or whatever, and they're there, and they're annoying, and they're gross, but these are like...
I think
like pupa
they're the
or,
same
like-
thing. They're the same thing.
These ones, I didn't see the little, like... You know what I'm talking about? The little, like, chrysalises or whatever?
Right, they go from a maggot to a pupa, and then they hatch out as a fly. So that's
Maybe
all
I
the
just have
same.
always cleaned really well that I never saw those.
Right, but you just missed a poo or two, and the maggots got big enough to be more obvious that they were a little pupa. This is terrible, but fine. This is just part of having snakes indoors.
Oh
but
my
to me, it's been
gosh.
much worse in my collection since having a bioactive stuff in the same room.
Well, that's got to be it, because I never had them before. I mean, I had, like, gnats and stuff, but I never saw all that I'm seeing now, and I cannot do that kind of bug. Ugh, maggots and, like,
Right. Well, you might want
line.
to keep them on paper for longer than a week potentially,
I hate paper,
or do a
though.
dry or substrate, which doesn't sound good this time of year.
Ugh, I hate paper. I know I hate paper, and then I use paper for a little while, and I'm like, yep, I still hate it so much.
Right. They get
Literally,
really wet really
they
quick.
float in their pee.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, check them twice a day, so they're not floating in their pee for a week, but it's like they're literally floating in their bin. It's so gross.
Mm-hmm.
A full clean out every freaking day.
Well, I don't know.
I hate paper.
What's worse?
The flies are worse. So
I
that's why
know,
we're
the
doing
flies
paper.
kill me.
Mm,
I'm hoping when we move, we won't move very many flies. That'd be dope.
that would be dope. Is it a Pacific Northwest thing, or is it an all snake
Everywhere.
keepers Yeah.
I didn't have them that bad in West Virginia, and I don't know why. I used a ton of paper in West Virginia, though. I don't think I used loose substrate ever.
Really? With all your snakes?
Boas, they don't give a shit. They do not give a shit.
Do they, like, flood themselves? How often do you clean your boas? Because you have to clean on different days, don't you?
Yeah. Well, so this was in the before time.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
But they will flood themselves, too. But a boa is like a blood, where and a ball python where they'll like wait and they'll just do it all at once.
Yeah.
And then you just pick it up. But
Yeah. I hate to pick up a literally dripping snake and then like
right, it's gross.
It's super
it's
gross.
gross.
And it's gross. It's gross for them.
I guess the argument is like they're doing that in cocoa too.
So many people are so mad at people that use cocoa. I've heard this argument, and they're not wrong, is that paper towels are cleaner because they may float in their urine, but you immediately clean it, and so it's always clean, whereas the cocoa is just like piss saturated.
Right.
All the time.
Right. I'm pro cocoa.
Pro cocoa here.
Not trademarked brand.
Oh, that's funny. That is a brand.
But usually I just do like the sniff test. Like if the whole bin starts to smell like pee because they've peed, you didn't take enough out one too many times or whatever, you can dump it then. So I am like due for like a deep cleaning also.
I just did mine. I changed the paper. It was awful because I was still recovering from COVID, but because it needed it, and then I didn't clean for a whole week, which I never do. And so like everybody had poop, everybody had flies, it was so bad. And so we had to do a deep clean. Anyway, it was time for fresh cocoa, but I was like, screw these flies, we're doing paper towels. And I miss my cocoa so bad.
Well, have you tried corrugated cardboard? I'm trying that with the boas.
You had mentioned that on Instagram, and your cat was being adorable.
Mm-hmm. It's just a little thicker material. So it has more absorption power.
Where did you buy yours?
Bought mine from Uline.
Oh, okay. I should try that.
Maybe I didn't. I bought it from Amazon, but I looked at Uline, then I price checked Amazon, and Amazon was cheaper anyway.
I definitely
so it came for shipping.
They're cleaner. I do understand people's point about people with cocoa, and I tend to let my cocoa go a little longer than I should. Justin Gabolka had mentioned that whenever his snakes shed, they get a fresh tub, and that is my ultimate goal, is to do that, because I think that that's a good time reference. And then obviously the sniff test or whenever they need it, and I clean my bins multiple times a week, and you take out the whole nasty part and you can refresh the cocoa as you go, but
that's mostly what I do. I don't necessarily do a deep clean per shed. I just don't do it.
I don't do that either, but that's what he does, and I think that would be easier than trying to do 100 snakes
at one time,
deep clean and fresh cocoa, which is what I currently do.
Well, we need Jana, our employees.
I can't even pay myself.
Me neither.
Or my kids. Slave labor.
Yeah, but Justin's like, yeah, we do this. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Chase is doing that.
I'm pretty sure Chase is doing that. He does do a lot. He's still super hands-on, even though he has, like 4 or 5 employees.
I'm pretty sure he said he doesn't clean anymore. He just cuts and pairs and pulls. He does all the fun stuff.
Well, and all the paperwork, like the planning for pairing, which is totally the fun stuff. Yeah.
I mean, he's got the right idea. I would probably also divide the labor that way.
Yeah, for sure. That is the fun part. I put 7 snakes together yesterday, though, on the paper towels, and it might just be because I just ultrasounded, so all 7 girls that I paired this week are all 25 plus. So that might be the magic that's happening. But
there's no locks?
All of them locked within like 3 hours. And that's never happened. I usually get everybody to lock within 3 days, but literally when I went to check before I went to bed, everyone was locked.
I don't think it was because of the paper towels.
There was nothing. It was just like, boom, everybody was
probably they were just all
in.
feeling real juicy.
And my little chicken nugget, the Mojave Leopard, Het Clown, Het Pied.
Are you using them? Have you decided to use them as like a stopgap?
So, yeah. So the clown is out. He hasn't paired in a couple weeks. And still not.
We're in collection updates.
I guess so. We should. Sorry, I totally got off subject.
I think we're done with shipping. That's us rambling about shipping. There's lots of good YouTube videos if the audio doesn't sort of do it for you, or like the guides don't do it for you.
There's lots of good ones. Can we just hit that, or do you think we hit it? We're gonna just run through this again real quick without all the commentary.
We were talking about it for
100 years.
We've been recording for an hour, so if the first 5 minutes was nothing, we've talked about it for an hour. I think it's fine.
Well, we didn't say ship to hubs only.
We did
before. We just didn't do it in order.
We didn't do it in order.
What were we talking about that was way more interesting? Oh,
your clown.
My clown. Talking about me. Gosh, that sounds egotistical.
Which parts will I edit out?
That's right.
You decide.
Yes, for sure. So, I don't know if he's gonna get back in it this season, but I have a backup clown coming, and even if I do a short quarantine, that's even like 4 to 6 weeks is like the shortest that I would do on him. Probably should do 8 weeks. So the Mojave Leopard is in it because I have a girl at 30.
And he's little, the backup clown. Isn't he 500 grams?
No, 700?
I thought it was 500.
No.
I mean, maybe he's bigger. I think the ad you sent me, he was in the 600? 500?
650? It's not important.
I mean, if he'll lock, that's all that matters. But to me, that size is not a locking size.
But if you give him a weaned a week,
right? He could be in 8 weeks, right?
You've never locked males that are. My first season, 2 of my males were 500 grams.
But weren't they? How old were they?
1 year.
Okay.
He's 2.
Did they have sauce? Secret sauce?
They had sauce and they sired most of the
So
clutches.
I'm not saying a 1-year-old 500 gram one can't sire clutches, but he's going to have just as short of a time frame where he has strength and honor to me, unless he consistently eats. So I don't know. You would have to get him and then feed him every 5 days a week.
Crap freaking shoot is what it is.
Right.
The clown leg of my journey has taken a hit.
Clown leg. My new band.
Clown leg. Yeah. My cell phone has decided it hates your house, so it's not gonna bring it up. But I think he's 650 grams, and he's a 2020, I believe.
The best part is he's a 2020.
Yeah, that's why I ended up getting him, is because he was the right age and he had some size on him. So in 8 weeks, he should be more than healthy to take on 4 or 5 girls. I still have 10 girls in that category that I don't know what I'm going to do with. So, yeah, I threw in the chicken nugget. He's 600 grams. And
Is he a 2020 also?
Yes, he's a 2020 also.
Okay.
But I had put him in before the head clown once or twice. That same one that he's in with right now that he's locked with. And he was like, over in the corner. So I was like, maybe I won't do that. And that's why I had moved on to the idea of buying a backup clown. And so, but I put him in and he locked right up with her this time. So that het clown girl, though, had got like 2 or 3 locks from the sugar het clown. But the sugar het clown got the visual clown, and I don't necessarily need. I don't know. I would like
a leopard Mojave double het clown pot is technically probably better than a sugar het clown.
I agree. That's why I put him, because she just needs 1 more lock and then she's done. So he did it, and so that girl's done, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with the other 8 on the list.
DTF. I don't know. To me, my advice is probably the same as it was last week, where you just do the best you can with what you got. Yep. And if the little ones are ready, becomes ready, or if you want to do het to het pairings, which suck, that's fine. Whatever, life sucks.
Well, it's not the end of the world. It's better than nothing.
Right.
Better than not het to het.
Yeah, a lot of those things are...
But I was hoping to prove out all these het girls so that I can use them with, like, the sugar visual clown next year, or, like, the...
Well, he wouldn't be old enough by then.
You're right. He won't be old enough.
Yeah, sometimes I get ahead of myself also. You're like, I'll bring that to that.
No.
The next year.
No, he'll only be, like, 3 months old. If I even get him. If I even hit that. I should hit that.
let's stay
visual.
positive.
Yeah, I'm gonna get all the sugar clouds.
You just need one male, and then you'll be fine.
But I also have the bongo yellow belly and the spot nose yellow belly.
And the bongo yellow belly is pause hat?
Pause hat. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I don't know. Life's confusing.
So how's the move?
Ideally, like somehow, like you would get a bongo yellow belly calico clown visual.
So
that was born last year.
It was born last year.
Whoops.
So
doesn't exist, but
the snake you bought from Garrett to Meyer.
Mine is a little shittier.
Yours is in bongo.
Yeah, mine's shittier than that.
Yeah, I don't know. I have regrets, but I also am not sad about the snakes in my. I should have bought a visual.
No, it's hard to buy a visual every time. So like you have to make the choice sometime not to, for many reasons, budgetary, testing, whatever. So I don't think you should be embarrassed or whatever, or
I'm not
upset or whatever.
I'm just like, I should have. I didn't buy a 2021 clown, and I also didn't produce one. So
there's nothing new coming down the pipes for 2022.
Correct. Which I should have, instead of buying 2 hets, 2021s, I should have gotten
at least one of them as a visual.
Correct. Yeah. And I could have gotten the bongo clown visual from the same person who was willing to let me test, but it didn't have the yellow belly. So
yeah, it's okay.
I wanted the yellow belly.
I mean,
only one good thing out of this is that the backup clown I got has yellow belly, so he also has passed down, but you can't win them all.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. Yellow belly makes banana look nice,
especially if I don't hit the visual clown. Mm-hmm. Those sell like I've sold banana yellow bellies. Those are the first ones out the door at shows.
Right, it makes it.
It's so beautiful.
Adds a lot of color.
Yeah,
to
it's
what
very
is there.
vibrant. It's very flashy, and everybody wants them.
Mm-hmm.
I
don't know what anybody should do, but I also have a lot of male het clowns that I refuse to let go because I like them or like something about them, and it's not a good decision to keep them. But I either can't afford to replace them with the visuals, or I have fantasies about their potential dinkerness that aren't borne out with reality.
Oh, dinker, dinker, dinker. You and your dinkers. So what happened was I waited too long, and all the spot nose, yellow belly,
There's
male.
a dog coming.
Hi, Pookie.
That's the real travesty here.
That's what happened. Is we waited too long.
Well, no, I've seen spot nose yellow belly clowns for sale.
Now you can get one right now.
Last fall, on people's tables on Instagram at shows, but not ever on Morph Market.
Morph Market. There is one on Morph Market right now.
Is it Justin's? Justin
be.
had one. Whatever.
And I was looking at it, and I was like, that sucks. Why didn't I buy you?
Was it a late 2021 baby?
Yeah, it was a late 2021 baby. But my not visual clown, my het spot nose yellow belly
is big.
Was way busier than the one that's for sale right now.
There's definitely a quality variation in spot nose yellow belly clowns. Right. I've seen some that look basically like a Pompeii almost already, and some that look
that's
like,
what I like. It's the really crazy busy, and my het is crazy busy, and so every time I look at it, I'm like, you're so pretty. That's why I don't regret it. Is because I look at him and I'm like, you're exactly right.
Right.
For what I want. So I'll just have to wait a little longer to have a visual male by him.
The only goal is to like not give too many girls to suboptimal males.
No, like 1 or 2.
Right.
Which is a bummer because that feels like a waste of a male. But
it is kind of, but once you lock in the sun that you know you need, it's fine.
Yeah, so if they're big
enough,
or
buy a replacement that meets your standards better.
Correct.
Right.
So those they'll each get a visual and they'll each get a het.
Right. All right.
Next year, and that's it.
Yeah, I have a stupid number of male het clowns. Like,
I have 3. I feel like that's a
something.
lot. I feel like that's a lot, and I just sold one, so 10? I have 4. 10?
Do I have 10?
That's a lot. I have 4, and one of them's double het, and it came in a collection I bought, a small collection that I bought 18 months ago. And so that's why I have him. Although I don't know. I'm rethinking some things, some projects.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
See, what I God. So I like want you to think about projects in terms of like 2 males and 4 females as like groups, or 5 females as groups, so that there can be backups.
Correct.
But then the best male still gets many chances to sire way more offspring than would be normal.
And that's the plan for the future.
Yeah. So I like having backup males that aren't used at all because they're not good enough, but they can always come in and be something whenever.
Better than having no locks when you have a girl at 30
Right.
millimeters who's just ready for the juice.
So my problem with a lot of the males I kept were dinker males, but they're basically like the one that's to test the dinker and the one that's the backup to test the dinker.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
So then you have like 10 because you're like,
because now I'll have 2 visual male clowns, so I'll have
right. So
backup.
now you have like a clown chain where like the older one is not as exciting, and so that one goes away first whenever you produce a sugar clown male or whatever the combo.
I have 5. I forgot about the sugar head clown.
Dang it. See, you're close to 10.
That is a lot.
I guessed
That's a
10,
lot.
but I don't actually know what.
No, I have 5. Holy crap, that's way too many. 2 are babies.
It's not way too many if they're not being used the wrong way. If they're literally waiting for the chance to like split 4 females' clutches or whatever.
Correct.
That's
well,
fine.
like the sugar hat clown, I put him to a het and I put him to a visual, and the visual went first, and so now I'm throwing somebody else in with that het.
Right, you probably have enough shots at his gametes winning. And then if you get what you get, if you get a male, you definitely don't need him anymore. He can go away right away.
Right.
Because you don't necessarily need him to breed anybody else next year because he can't offer you anything else combo-wise.
But I gotta wait for his babies to come. But if he doesn't produce anything, I need to probably just buy rather than waiting another season.
Yeah, I probably would not also breed him another season.
Correct.
So he's just like dumb luck that he came in the collection that you bought.
Correct.
Right.
Because I normally wouldn't buy a single gene het clown unless it was like Wookiee.
Yeah,
like
unless
Wookiee
it was
het clown,
over
then maybe.
$1,000
A sugar het
something.
clown to me, if it was like sugar yellow belly or sugar spot nose, like yeah, okay, then I would get it. But I wouldn't have purchased him by himself. He came with the huge collection that I bought, and I was like, cool, that's what I wanted. So I'll just use a little chicken nugget, and he got the job done. And she's big. She's really big.
Yeah, I think everything's fine.
Everything's fine
As usual.
So you think it's good to put them to one visual and one het?
I mean, unless you, I don't know. If you had a clown that was worth like $1 billion and was ready to breed, and you could like guarantee money out of the visual to visual pairings, you might be like, I don't care if I'm playing the long odds on the het to hets because I'd rather have more of my power in my best power pairings. That would be the only time I'd say. For next year, it's fine. But the year after, when you have a clown pied, probably don't need any of these male het clowns at all anymore.
No, yeah. So one more season, and then
so you should probably buy 2 clown pieds. Is what I'm saying.
So I'm going against your advice.
Okay.
This is the thing I'm rethinking. And instead of making triple hets, I am putting that low value double het to my visual. And I know that pisses you off, but I'm hoping to produce a backup clown pied male.
I know that's what you're hoping, but that backup won't be ready until 2024. So aren't you just going to make $1 billion this year and just go buy another one anyway?
That's fair.
That's what I'm saying. Like, she's the triple hets or pos quads. I don't know, depending on what male you put to it.
I don't know yet if he's het cryptic.
Whatever, we'll find out. Potentially. I mean, you'll find out this year because
he's breeding too. He's got a visual and a het.
So if that happens, those babies are worth $7,000 each or something. Why would you waste your time making a clown pied male when
we have this argument like once a month, and she is like right on the cusp. She's bull wrapping, but she's still like, she's like 1,100 grams.
Did you check her?
Yeah, she's less than 10. But she's acting funky. So,
you don't have to make a decision yet.
right. She's got a couple more months before
If
she
you
gets
really
her first
want
slog.
the leopard to try...
I know you think
So,
it's a
so if you
waste.
did that and still didn't hit a male clown pied, would you be like...
Be pissed.
Oh.
Yeah, it would be a gamble. And if I didn't hit any clown, I could hit no clown pies.
Right.
Because it's 1 in 4.
Right. And so if you use gender as a determiner, now it's 1 in...
1 in 8.
1 in 8. So
Correct.
it's not that great
And
odds
it's
on
her
a little
first year,
snake.
and she's probably
yeah.
going to do 4, 5 if you're
To
lucky.
me, it feels like... If you have big ovaries dollars, I would just buy another clown pied.
But he just cut me off, man.
That you sell this year.
Yeah, oh, that's fair. 'Cause I gotta pay for my own Kiki now.
What?
Hot
Girlfriend.
take. Hot take, I've been cut off. But, you know, I just been like...
I mean, the Kiki might not exist for you to buy
anyway.
anytime soon.
No,
anyway.
it's not going to anyway. So, I spent probably $20,000 this month.
What?
With permission. Like, full disclosure, it wasn't like on the DL and you didn't know. Like, we had talked in December, we had discussed all this and what we were going to buy. But yeah, I spent $20,000 this month.
That's a lot.
On racks and snakes and...
Yeah, the racks are hard because they get you.
They get you coming and going. So I spent 10 on racks.
Oh my God, I muted it and it didn't count.
That's fine. You want to talk about corns?
I would like to start a new
Corner
called Cornhole.
Cornhole. I love it when you talk about other species.
No,
I
you don't.
think
No, you don't. Jana's
That's
lying.
bullshit.
Jana's lying so hard right
I'm
now.
not lying. I learned so much. Just because I've never listened
Except
to
she
the boa episode.
she glazes over.
It's
Slips
true.
into a
You guys
coma.
can't see it, but now you can. Now you'll see when she's talking, and I'm just like, la la la, check
Fuck
your
this
Instagram.
bitch.
Oh wait, were you talking to me? Can you
I
repeat
know.
that? She edits that stuff out.
I edited it out hard. So, the reason why I think anybody should learn about any other kinds of species, even though they're dedicated to the one that they're working on, is because you can learn things about your species by hearing experiences about other ones. Ostensibly.
I'm colubrid curious.
I know you are.
So it's okay. I really do want to hear about this. I know you think I hate it, and I know you think I glaze over. I glaze over because you throw a lot of information out at once, and sometimes it's too much for my pea brain to handle.
Okay.
So I glaze over because I'm trying to process it.
All right.
And you take that as disinterest, but it's not. Boas
We'll
fascinate me, but they totally
We'll
terrify me
see.
at the same time.
Okay.
But you've been seeing, I've been sending you boa stuff, you creep. She's so mean to me, guys.
All right,
You
back
just
to
don't
corn
see it 'cause
steaks.
She edits it out.
Back to corn steaks. I am mean to you. I don't know why you put up with me. So you watched Sarah Moore's video about diffused versus blood red.
I did, and it was...
Did any of it sink in?
Nope.
You don't have a lot of context for any of it, so I don't know why it would have sunk in.
I did watch it, though.
Okay, good job. Homework.
I did it.
So, I guess the central thesis, I won't repeat her whole video because that's not what's at question here, is diffused is a particular recessive trait in corn snakes, and blood red was originally thought to be just diffused, but we can't reproduce the phenotype without other genes too. So she was like, should blood red be just diffused, or should blood red be diffused in mask?
Correct.
Right. That was the
question posed.
Right. She's just like, her
Is it
opinion
just
was it should be
diffused?
both of them, mask and diffused, and not just diffused.
I know nothing, but she made a good point, and I agreed with her, even though I had no idea what she was talking about. It's like, yeah, that sounds right. Good for you.
So I actually want to have a third option, which is it should be diffused, mask, and a red enhancer.
Well, she did talk about a red enhancer.
Oh, yeah. No, I guess her points were...
Was it red
diffused,
enhancer?
red enhancer, or diffused and mask. Okay. I think it should be all three, is my point.
Okay.
Because there
has to be a red modifier to get
to get the color right.
I
Otherwise,
agree.
they look sort of orangey. It's nice, but it's like just like
Are
a
you gonna link
uniform.
her video?
Yeah.
Okay. Go
Yeah,
watch her video. It was
I
good.
do
I don't know
always
anything,
do
and
that.
I thought it was good.
Her video got taken down because she had a
What?
DMCA takedown because I don't know, some music sounds like other music, so she used copyright-free music, but they still
Took it down.
took it down anyway because it kind of sounded like something that wasn't copyright because algorithm's not smart.
I watched it just in the nick of time.
But she put up another version of it, so I'll have to link the new version. But I guess what I wanted to talk about mostly was I think Blood Red should be all three, but I also think Mask is still a wild card. Mask causes like the head to be weird, the belly to be kind of cleaned up in the center, and the super is more cleaned up, so there's checkerlessness.
Okay.
So it's like diffused. That's why they always thought they were the same. But here's my point.
But not all diffused are blood red.
Right.
Is what she was trying to say.
Right, and I think everyone agrees with that.
Okay.
Blood red is more than just diffused.
Okay.
It's at least also mask and is probably also a red enhancing gene that we don't know which one we want to identify it as.
Okay. It doesn't have a name.
Well, we just don't know which one. There are many of them.
So has it not been reproduced? Is that the problem?
No, it has.
Oh, okay.
It's just like, we're like, this looks awesome, and it makes awesome babies. But why is it? So if you bred it to something that doesn't look very much like it, you'll get less awesome ones. You're like, why? It's probably because there's multiple genes controlling the phenotype.
We talk about this with ball pythons, and there's like multiple factors, multiple genes making up that effect. What is the word?
Polygenic. But in this case, there's 3 genes making the look, but each one is monogenic, so it's controlled by like a single point mutation.
Right.
Polygenic just means like there might be 10 or 5 separate alleles that control one sort of outcome.
So you're like cream of the crop, beautiful queen bee snake corn that has not been reproduced is probably polygenic.
Oh yeah, she's 100% polygenic. Everything about her is polygenic.
Okay.
So like a silver base coat is polygenic.
So that's why she's really hard. Like she's had a bunch, but none of them look as perfect as her.
Right. Because it's like,
Won't even know.
I don't know, fucking Seabiscuit or something has a little baby foal. Being a really good racehorse is a polygenic trait because it has to do with
lots of factors.
all kinds of shit. And so
whereas
like
blood red, you're saying it's a specific.
it's probably
monogenic
3
genes.
really.
So it's reproducible, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's totally reproducible, but we as a group, corn snake people haven't really decided what they think it is.
Okay.
It's just Kathy Love and Bill were like, it's really red and fucking awesome. Blood red. Everybody. And so they put it out there as like a cool phenotype without fully elucidating exactly what they thought the genotype was.
So were they trying to say that it was one gene? Or they just gave it a name of what
Yeah, that happens a lot in corn snakes. Where they're like,
okay.
it's diffused for sure, so it's recessive, but we're learning more.
The magic happens.
Yeah, we're learning a lot more about like the red factor and so the red enhancing genes and
so now
which ones are recessive
the one
and
that
which
everybody
one.
thought had like you shouldn't breed.
Blood reds had problems early on, like failure to thrive issues, but no one knows why they had that
anymore.
No.
Okay, because 2 or 3 years ago, I think now maybe 2.5. When Corona started and we were researching snakes, I remember we really liked the look of blood reds, and somebody had like dissuaded me in the corn snake community, like, oh, those are bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't. If someone came to me and was like, should I get into diffused and or blood red combos?
It wasn't
like,
the breed; it was like a pet.
Yeah, no. Yeah, go ahead, everybody. They're fine. They've been outcrossed to the high heavens, so they're fine. it's probably one of those things where like was a bad allele in, so that doesn't always happen. You can't always find the bad part and take it out. It's connected to the gene, but in this case, it's not connected to the gene. They seem just fine.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I guess that's it.
Show this fluffy
yeah.
goodness on
I
film.
forgot.
The cat the pussy she's always talking to. That's not me.
Oh god,
isn't he amazing? He hates me though. You're so delicious. He really hates me.
Well, my main point about that video is mask to me feels still like an unknown. Because she has talked about what she thinks are the heterozygous, there's a little clicking, heterozygous mask and homozygous mask phenotypes are. And I'm like, sounds good on paper. Are you mad she's here?
She's real. Whoa, he does not like me.
Those phenotypes sound good on paper, but I've seen super mask to what is ostensibly not a mask animal by any trait makes super masks. And I have mask-ish things that do not qualify but are mask-ish. So then it's like, to me, I think we need to relook at mask again and decide if it still is incomplete dominant. There's a heterozygous form and a homozygous form, but it's maybe like paint is in ball pythons, where the het form can be super het effect or not at all.
Okay.
And the homozygous form is more consistent.
That's the super,
so
right?
Yeah. Okay. So I think mask needs to maybe be looked at that way, and maybe I'm wrong. So there are heterozygous masks that look totally normal, but sometimes heterozygous masks can have a little bit of het effect. So we probably should rethink of mask as recessive. Right in. This is me just making stuff up.
Sorry,
She's obsessed with the cat. Yep.
The cat is so cute. I'm sorry. I'm listening.
All right.
So they need to revisit the mask. What about the red factor? What does that even mean?
The reason why the names are stupid is because nobody could figure it out.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
So there's a lot of red enhancing
genes.
And they have a lot of different names, like salmon and coral, and
I've heard those.
And those all come from different people. And sometimes
hypo. Okay. Got it. It's like, it's mine, I'm going to name it.
Well, they just didn't know what the hell it was. They're like,
because there's a lot of line breeding.
Yes. So it could have been polygenic, but then they figure it out eventually, it's not polygenic, it's monogenic, and we can have a heterozygous coral or a homozygous coral or whatever. And some of them are actually recessive and some of them are incomplete dominant, which sounds crazy to say out loud. So and if you just get a snake out of the woods, you don't know if it's the incomplete dominant red enhancing gene, the recessive red enhancing gene, or both. It can be both. I have an animal that is homozygous for the incomplete dominant version and het for the recessive version. How will we ever tell the babies apart? We're not. We're just going to be like, they're red.
They're red. They're beautiful. We did it.
So.
Wait. So that your queen snake is in her pre-ovulation sheds? So what my king snakes just did.
Right.
She hasn't been bred.
I never brumated her because she was in quarantine. So I've been
you're gonna have to guess.
Yes, I was gonna have to guess when she was gonna want to ovulate, and to me, she's been flying out of the cage trying to kill me.
Do they do that too?
Yeah, she was looking for food in my pants the other day. That was on Instagram.
I saw that.
And I'm like, what are you doing? She was looking for food because this next shed will be the one where she's like, oh, it's spring, and so then she'll be allowed to be paired, and then she'll have her pre-lay shed. No more pairing, and then she'll lay eggs.
It's a whole different mindset than ball pythons.
So someone who doesn't breed a temperate colubrid just puts a male in every week after the new year until they start getting locks or receptivity is what happens, after a shed. So this might not be it, but I think it is. So that we could wait till the next shed. Maybe the next shed happens in April. They will shed, and then they'll be like, it's spring, I think. And then they will be receptive.
So you don't, temperate colubrids, you don't brumate? or some people don't, and then they just
Yeah, a lot of
keep
people
breeding.
don't brumate hog noses, corns, kings at all. They just keep them in their house and start trying them. You just sync things up much better with brumation.
Okay.
Everybody comes out and it's like, oh yeah, it's spring now. Okay,
Your
we're
one
all in the
still
same
hasn't
boat
been-
together.
I don't think she's in shed at all. I'm like, oh. Well.
Well, you didn't brumate as long.
No, I didn't. I will not do that next year. I'll have to do the full 8 weeks. I'll just have to do it sooner.
Yeah. And you could have still, because this isn't like part of your money making
No, it's
scheme
totally
or whatever,
for
you
fun.
could have like let them down or brought them up. It doesn't matter either way. They will
I was
still
just trying
ovulate.
to
You just
time
don't
it
know
with
when.
The July show, so the babies would be ready. But you don't get to time it. You don't get to. They just do what they want. So
Right.
that
If
was
she
bad.
doesn't feel like it's spring, she won't shed to indicate that she's feeling like spring. Like I brought mine up early and they all acted like they were still brumating anyway.
Mine have been flying out trying to kill me and eat.
Well, maybe still
The last
pair them
2
just to
weeks.
see what happens. Just in
So,
case.
well, I tried
Sometimes they'll
pairing,
skip their post brumation shed.
So I should be preparing both of them already.
Just for fun.
Well, I gotta try the
Just feed them so they don't eat each other and then just try.
So I fed them, and then they didn't breed. But I fed them the same day, and I don't think I'll do that again. But I was really worried they were going to eat each other. Thought it was going to be a massacre.
So when I had cow kings, I paired them
Like the next day after eating, or
just
did
a
you-
lot. They never really tried to eat each other.
He didn't even bite her or anything.
Then he probably wasn't that into it.
He was chasing her, and she was like flying in circles. And
Right, he
was, like-
wanted it, but he wasn't
and he was
ready.
and he was like jizzing all over the place. She was just like, bye bye. I put a reel up. And I don't want no scrub. Yeah, she was totally not feeling it. She was like, get away from me. And I was waiting for him to get like bitey and hold her down and stuff. He didn't do any of that. He was very polite, and I was a little disappointed.
Soon,
Okay.
maybe.
I'll keep trying. It doesn't, like I said, it does not matter at all if they breed. They're really just disposal services for kinked ball python babies. But it's fun.
They
It's
like doing
different.
that. All right. My child's here.
He might come in. He's so cute.
We don't have to do the rest. I was going to, but he came home anyway, even though I told him not to.
Do your Instagram update.
We can do Instagram or
You haven't done a collection
the
update
hybrid one.
either.
Or do that next week.
Let's do the hybrid thing next week because I think it deserves not
It'll probably be 20 minutes.
distracted. Yeah, not distracted. And I have questions. So, do you want to do your collection update? I kind of did because I like talking about myself.
Do I have a collection update?
I don't know. I'm asking.
Mm-hmm.
You have any girls off food? Do you have any that have ovulated? Have you even been using your ultrasound?
No.
Is your ultrasound like shoved in a corner and you're
Kind
flipping
of.
it off? Or
I don't know. My ball buttons are like slow and boring, so I don't have anything really exciting to say there. So mine, I don't have anybody that ovulates this soon in the year anyway, so they're not going to ovulate magically ahead of time.
okay.
And none of the new ones have ovulated, obviously, because none of them have built much of anything. So the ball pythons are pretty boring. We won't see ovulations till like April.
That's pretty normal though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because then they lay in
Because there's
June
some
or
people
whatever.
on Facebook that are seeing other people's like, my ball python, they're ovulating, and they're like, I give up. I should just quit pairing. And I'm like, it's not even.
Yeah.
It's not even that time in the season that you should be getting discouraged yet. It's early days.
Most ball pythons lay in the summer, because that's what they do in Africa.
Yeah.
So,
Like April, May ovulations.
and for the most part, ball python pairing is a 6 to 8 month marathon, not a sprint. So you start pairing in August or something crazy of last year, and that female could have been an early pairer or whatever. And that's why you paired her early, and she could still go 2 months later the next year anyway. So you had to be prepared to not give a fuck for a long time. Very little expectations, and then you're like pleasantly surprised when you ovulate. So yeah, ball pythons aren't doing anything. It's the boas that are like catching up fast. I still don't have another ovulation.
Do they swell like ball pythons? Is that how you tell? Or
Bigger.
do they act? Oh,
bigger and more insane.
Oh, interesting.
They
Did
look
you have
like...
pictures or anything on your Instagram of your boa ovulation?
No, I missed her ovulation.
How did you know that she ovulated then?
She just looked post-ovulation-y.
See, this is what happens when you have experience. You can do things like...
And then
she's
like,
totally
right now she's in
ovulated.
shed, so, like, she ovulated
Okay. And then how long...
in secret at some point. I just won't pay attention to them that much. They're boas.
How
And I haven't fed any of them for, like, 6 weeks or something crazy.
That sounds amazing.
They're taking their little, like, winter fasting break.
Right.
I feed the babies still every 2 weeks, like normal, but I don't.
That's cool. That's really cool.
They're on break right now.
So, how long after prelay shed do boas gestate?
Post. I guess it would be it would be the equivalent of a prelay shed in a ball python, but
Correct.
to us it's a post ovulation shed because they're never gonna lay.
Tomato,
it's the same difference.
Tomato.
Right. It's so
Yeah,
funny
okay,
you
yeah,
said it like
sorry.
that. I'm like,
Wait, that's wrong.
no, I just like
ovulation.
I was like,
shed.
is that the same thing?
It's not. I just meant, is it the same?
It is
time
the same thing.
Is it
like
30?
biologically? So she's going to ovulate and then shed about 30 days apart, like a ball python.
Okay, and then how long after till she...
105
birth.
to 110
What?
days. But you think about it, that's 60 days plus 30 to 45.
Oh, okay.
It's
It is
almost
the same.
exactly
Okay.
the same.
It's just all inside her body.
Yep.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
No work needed.
It does seem like a long time to wait, though.
It just feels that way because you got no like extra surprise in the middle
Yeah, that's true.
or whatever. But
It's the same.
it's almost exactly the same. And not all boas are like that. This is boa imperator mutts that do this.
So we're going to go into it anyway.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about it next week. But
So yours are hybrid. We'll talk about it next week.
I mean, you can talk about
Shits.
boas in particular. I was going to talk about all hybrids, like carpet balls and whatever.
What do
Just
you
have a
think
discussion about that.
Your dinker boy is suspected.
Maybe a carpet ball.
Okay, are those angry balls?
I don't know. I thought angry balls were blood balls.
I don't know. I'm not super.
Are those
into
super
hybrids.
balls?
Super balls?
No, angry balls are the bumpy ones. The bumpy ones.
Don't like my balls bumpy.
So dumb that I can't think of what they're called. The bumpy pythons that look like ball pythons still.
I don't know.
Angolan pythons. Holy
Oh,
mother
I
of
did
God.
know that. Dang it.
Bumpy
I let
ball
you down. I'm
pythons.
sorry, I did know that.
I know a lot of things. Doesn't necessarily mean it's like available to me at any one time.
That's fair. I used to be smart, and then I had 3 kids, and they sucked my brains out, and haven't slept in 8 years. Mm-hmm. And now, I'm the ditzy blonde in the corner. Although I'm not even blonde anymore. They
I
sucked
know,
out my
what the
blonde.
fuck. So the point of the story is there are some hybrids that are closer together than other ones. So we can see that a ball python and a carpet python are really different.
Correct.
But technically, a boa constrictor and a boa imperator are also species level hybrids.
That's fascinating.
So, and they used to be one species with different subspecies. But science has decided that subspecies are lame to them. So now all of mine are not integrades, but true hybrids between different boa species. As are most morph boas, for sure. This is also true for corn snakes. I wanted to bring up corn snakes because everyone's like worried about something about their corn snake. Corn snakes are so not pure at all. It's hilarious. And they've also taken subspecies and bumped them up to species status. So stuff that used to be an integrade like Slowinskii and Emery is now a whole ass hybrid. So even if you ignore the fact that there's probably California king snake in it from Tessera and gray rat snake in it in Ultramel, There's also, like, within the former corn snake species, hybridization too.
Some level of that from nature is good, but not necessarily from us. Is that right?
Does it matter?
Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. So
My argument is all the rules are made up and nothing matters. So if you want locality stuff, go ahead. If you want more stuff, go ahead. If you want pure stuff and you believe it's pure,
so you sell your stuff as hybrid? What do you sell it
I
as?
sell it as imperator because it's too complicated to explain to someone. Hey, let's talk about this. So this is 95% Colombian-ish, 1% Panama,
Okay.
2% Nicaraguan, and 3% boa constrictor, and 0.5% boa sigma. It is predominantly boa imperator.
Okay.
It's not
And so they're
pure boa
considered,
imperator.
integrate, is that how you say it?
No, because it's cross species now. It used to be boa constrictor had multiple subspecies, like 9.
But those are not the same as localities.
No. Locality would be like a country or a
Well,
region.
you just listed countries and regions.
Right, but a
percentiles.
Colombian is a locality of the artist formerly known as boa constrictor imperator. Imperator used to go from Colombia all the way up to Mexico.
Okay.
And so you could have a locality of any of those.
Okay.
But now, boa imperator is Colombia up to Mexico, but only on the east side of the continent. The west side is boa sigma. So there's a new species inside of there now.
Okay.
So now you can have something that is imperator, sigma, and constrictor smushed together in the same animal with multiple localities from each species in the same animal.
You can't tell, and there's no, like, not like a dog where you just do like a...
I mean, yes, if we went and did like microsatellite DNA from each of the original source regions, we could figure out what percentage they are, but does that matter?
I don't think so.
Everything that's a morph is a mutt and sort of doesn't matter anymore. And if you want a locality, you go find somebody who's like, this came from Brazil 30 years ago. And
they have like a pedigree of their lineage. Is that just like with carpets? Because carpet is very heavily
if you're
locality based.
The thing about carpets is it exactly the same as boas. They're actually...
Oh, there's 2 groups?
Yes, and the original source animals are all ostensibly subspecies. No, like the source animals from Australia are subspecies of each other. Some of them are full species. So if you made a mutt of a coastal and a jungle, it's a subspecies cross. So it's an intergrade.
Integrate, okay. That word I
So like a lot of people tolerate that very well in other circles. Some of them don't. But in boas, it's the same thing. They used to all be subspecies, and we tolerated it very well because it was like, well, these are all imperators, so we're just mixing all these imperators. But turns out there was another species inside of imperator we were mixing all along. We just didn't know it.
Okay.
And we were like, whoops.
Whoopsie doopsies.
So when I was a child long ago, I used to be like, we should keep it pure, except for Panama. So I apparently made an exception for like Panama and hypo, because Colombians are better than Nicaraguans or whatever anyway. Obviously, this is bias, boa bias here. So I was like, we should be relatively pure, but not super pure. Pure within the subspecies. Now I don't even know if I even give a shit.
Are more people...
I think if you have pure stuff, you should keep it pure. But if you already have morphs, you're not on the pure game at all. There's no pure left.
So someone who is doing pures would be like line breeding traits. You wouldn't be doing like IMG and other things, right? Is that how, am I
you could probably technically go find an IMG that's pure Colombian-ish, maybe. But the IMGs came out of call albino stock that was just like whatever was floating around. So like, is that a locality? Like right now, you can find an anery that's pure longicauda, the subspecies formerly known as longicauda.
Okay.
Okay?
So
So there are
go back in
morphs
time.
within-
And Jana needs to get her master's in biology. Is that what you meant by saying?
whatever. Doesn't matter.
See, this is why I glaze over. It's not because I don't care. It's because you talk like I have a master's in
Okay, let's
biology.
go back.
Let's go like
So there
more
are
basic, 'cause
morphs within localities already.
Okay.
So like,
Yes.
if you wanted pure a species right now, you could go find a pure version of it. But you could never cross it to all the other versions because they came from something else to begin with.
You would need a pair of pures.
Right, but and you couldn't combine it with anything.
Okay.
Because like the leopard comes from boa sigma, so that's a totally different species. And hypo
I like the leopard.
comes from Panama, which is a totally
So
different
sigma
species
is
and
different than
locality.
Imperator, which is what you have. So
Right,
you
but
can't
I have-
get leopard
No, I can do whatever I want. I'm an adult.
because you have mutts.
Mm-hmm.
And you're on the morph.
Yeah, I'm on
side.
team. I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
If I got locality animals, I would keep them pure because they're already rare and expensive just existing. They're born more expensive than my mutts. So that's worth it right there.
Okay, that makes sense.
But if I want to combine VPI, leopard, motley, that is a mutt to begin with,
we
and
do.
is still a mutt forever.
Okay,
So you have to decide if that's okay to you.
that makes sense.
So like the mutt market is very like the ball python market, where nobody cares that much what the composition of the adults are.
They care what
The genes are.
morphs,
Right.
what they look like, rather than what their genetic composition is.
So if you're into leopards, that's cool.
They're
You just have to
really
decide
cool.
if you want pure leopards that are only boa sigma and don't ever cross to anything else, or if you just want to do whatever you
So
want
if
to do.
you wanted a pure leopard, is there what morphs are in sigmas
There's a hypo, an anery,
and a leopard?
and leopard. That might be it in sigma.
Okay, so you really like limiting if you do the pure side.
Oh, there might be a T plus. That's pure. An albino
An albino.
strain.
Okay. Is T plus the one that has problems or not?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
They're all fine. So, but you're super limited what you can buy. You need to wait around on a list for 6 months to a year to buy one or two.
Well, no. First, you've got to suck a lot of dick.
We don't want to suck. Listen, you don't want to suck boa dick. It's the worst. It's
It
the
is the worst.
grungiest dick
I
I've
was
ever
gonna
seen.
say,
Go
it is
Lord.
not clean.
It's been around since the 80s.
But
and
I'm
it's
saying
not
is you
good
gotta
anymore.
get in good with them. You gotta get in the good old boys club, like the old school club, which I'm not in.
The boa people are less like.
Clubby than ball python.
Yeah, but
You're
it's
about
more.
to- You're about to hit that circuit. I'm so jealous.
But sure, it's like. I don't know. You still need to get on a list to wait for anything anyway, because they just don't breed as much. There are just less of them.
That's true.
So they're not saving them for their friends necessarily. They just don't have any, so they can't sell it to you. Because they breed every other year, potentially. And
That's fair. Okay.
they don't breed till they're 6 or 7 or whatever. And half of them have arena and are dead. Fuck. So, like, the ability of a boa market to turn to being, like, super high production is much less. Especially a lineage boa market.
It's just like a very
Like
tiny,
a locale. Yeah, if there's
tiny
only 10
market.
females in the whole country right now,
Then
how are we going to produce a bunch right away?
You're
It
not.
takes at least time for
and it's
somebody.
A lot. Some of those boas are. Woo-hoo.
That's why the boa price went up more relative to some other things.
Well, I know people
like,
that are ball
it's-
python breeders, but they keep like 3 boas that are like super high end boas, not pure, just high end
Morph.
morphs. And they're like, oh, it's gonna be like a $40,000 litter.
Yeah, you could actually like have a full business just in boas. People are like, well, the only way to make money in is ball pythons. That's not true. The boa people are laughing at you when you say that, because there's a full functioning morph
Like really high end.
and locality high end market in boas
Yeah.
that is, and
This is not in your face like ball pythons. It's-
yeah, there's just less of them, but they are just as prestigious or whatever as a high end ball python,
I'm
and they
seeing that.
command
I'm
the
seeing that
same
more.
price.
As I share boa stuff, now Instagram's like, ooh, she likes boas. So it's showing up in my feed now.
Yeah, and I think the problem with boas is they're physically bigger, so they require bigger space, and so
Yeah.
you can't run as many, and they have arena virus complications that may or may not you believe exist or whatever.
They exist. I just terrifies me.
And
you sneezed wrong and everybody's dead.
So like boas,
I could not.
So it's like it's almost like the opposite of that though. Like boas are good at living with it, which makes them a problem.
Oh, I meant my ball pythons.
Oh yeah, right.
Everybody's dead.
Right. So like one day we'll do an arenavirus specific podcast because that's like the conversation we should really be having. Because to me, none of virus is done and easy. Closed book.
It's so easy.
Just test for it. Don't cross contaminate. Closed book. Beautiful.
Biosecurity between each of
right,
your
but boas, you're like,
each of your breeding.
Let's think about
birds.
the hardest thing of all time and contemplate our navels
First,
for the next 20
curl
years.
Up into the fetal position, cut all the deaths from this, and all the nastiness, and literally, I'm scared. I'm scared of arenavirus.
Yeah, well, you should be.
Well, and then talking to Elijah, now I'm scared of crypto.
Oh yeah, you should be scared of crypto.
I thought I had it under control, and he's like, yeah, let's pour a glass of,
I think I told you I thought you should wear gloves at shows.
You did. You told me all this, and I'm just like, la, la, la.
Because of crypto, not because of Nido, because you can obviously handle it just fine. But crypto is like such a pain in the dick.
Crypto and IBD, isn't that the same as Arena?
Mm-hmm.
From the shows is what I would be concerned about, not Nido. But, he made it sound extra scary. Like, I was like, oh, I'm testing. They're separate. They have their own tools. Blah, blah, blah. They have their own B-Day. Like, it's cool. My kings are cool. And then he, like, was like, it's sipping on a glass of sanitizer.
It's just because sanitizer doesn't care at all. It's a non...
Right?
No.
Nothing kills?
UVB.
Oh, and bleach.
Not bleach. Steam. So, like, steam over 160 degrees.
Okay.
Maybe 150.
I'm a steamer for my bins.
You can physically wash it away with soap and water, but it doesn't kill it. So if you're just like washing it in the tub, you need to like probably do something else. And like, pretty sure it's really, really, really high concentration ammonia that you wouldn't want to smell or be around.
No, probably not. No, I mean, like, so mine have tested twice, and then I will test them one more time, probably. Maybe even more than that. I don't know. But they'll get, for sure, another crypto test. But they got a crypto upon arrival, and then they got a crypto when they came up from brumation.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'll do another
I
one.
think, for the most part, you're fine. It's just like anything else. There's like a low % chance that
it was missed.
Yeah. And you have to just sort of deal with the consequences of that.
But I feel like with nidovirus, even if it's missed, I feel confident in my procedures and how I interact with my snakes, and that I can kill it with like Dawn dish soap and F10, and like I can sanitize my things, and I know that it's dead. It's lipid based, so it's gone. And crypto and IBD aren't that way.
Well, Arena is a lipid.
Is it?
Yeah, it's as susceptible as whatever.
As Nido.
But to me, it feels like Arena has spread. I don't even know how to say it. Made like on surfaces and or on large particulate airborne spread in my collection. So that means surely Nido can do the same thing. I'm speculating wildly. Don't listen to anything I say.
That's not true.
But, you know, you can put a boa with Arena in a cage with another boa with Arena, and the one boa won't get it because it's got sort of innate immunity or something to it somehow, just like with Nido. So, like, yes, it can spread on surfaces, but also some of them are fine. So, like, people take that and be like, it's too... So you can hand sanitizer away Arena at the show, is what I'm saying.
I use sanitizer at the show.
But you can't hand sanitizer crypto at the show. So that's why you would want gloves, potentially.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Is what
I just
I'm
meant
saying.
in like my own practice, so if I'm like sanitizing in between.
Yeah, that's fine for like...
But that's not enough if I had crypto, which I don't think I do.
The problem is like we don't know what crypto does to big-bodied snakes. Like how much disease it can cause.
Right. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know all the answers. It scares me a little.
It seems to work better intemperate snakes for whatever reason. Probably because they like turn their immune systems off and on.
Okay.
But that's why like his rubber boas died. They're temperate boas. Rosy boas roll from it. But rosy boas are immune to arena. So.
Immune? Like they don't get it or they get it and they're fine?
I think they get it and they clear it.
Oh, that's cool.
So arena wants to live in the body of an animal that has a body temperature that's a certain degree. It just doesn't do that well when it can get in there, but they can clear it. So what does that mean? It just means every animal in your collection needs its own set of like rules and procedures.
Right.
Based on its species and its testing regime. Like I wouldn't probably test a rosy boa for arena. Because they clear it. Sorry, rosy boas. But I also we don't advocate for like universal insane amount of testing. We just advocate for the ones that are a problem currently. And so
I don't test every snake for everything on the list at all.
Right, no, we would run out of money and we would give up.
I mean, like
but maybe we're also there's an oversight there. Maybe there's one on the list we should have been testing for that. That's why the other rules.
You test for sunshine but you test for sunshine and I don't.
Right. And I don't think there's actually that much sunshine in this States.
I don't either, so I feel like it's a waste, so I don't do it. Am I wrong? I could be.
Right. I think.
I mean, if I was importing snakes, I probably would.
Why though? Because it's not more common in Europe than it is here. There's the equal commonness.
I thought sunshine was only in Europe.
No, I just showed you a paper where they found it in Europe, not that it's.
So it is.
Chad
here.
has never found it here.
Oh.
He's definitely found it here. You just have to decide what you're comfortable with.
I can't let it run my life though. I mean, I have to be.
Well, that's not running my life. I just test them all. For that one too. All right, we got to finish up.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Yeah, we're done. Dunzanito. Where can they find you?
Yeah. That sounds good.
Didn't say anything.
Yeah, well, you just gestured wildly, so I was like, that's about right.
No one on the podcast app is going to be able to hear you.
Fuck, I forgot about those people. Just message me on Holdback Podcast. Nobody messages me there.
You can find me on Instagram at ASM Royal Tails. Feel free to message me if you have questions or feedback. Nice things, rude things, whatever. Don't be mean to Jessica.
I know, what the heck?
She's moving. She's mid-military move.
I lost all my chickens because of you people.
She had to sell her chickens and her bunnies and her goats.
They're all gone.
They're all gone. Her farm is gone. It's just snakes and rats.
It's alright. That's okay for him too. Alright, we did it. Episode 15.
16.
Fuck.
Bye. See you
Bye.
next
Merry
week.
Christmas. It's always Christmas where I am.